The Beaumont estate was a place out of dreams, dreams that belonged only to the wealthy. On the edge of the city, behind tall wrought iron gates, the mansion stood like a proud guardian of privilege. Its windows shimmered under the golden afternoon sun, and the vast gardens seemed to roll endlessly, dotted with roses, fountains, and white gazebos. Today, the estate was dressed in celebration. Catherine Beaumont, poised, elegant, and known in society for her exquisite taste, was hosting the birthday of her only daughter, Amelia. She had spared no expense. The garden marquee was strung with fairy lights, a live string quartet was playing soft melodies, and long tables overflowed with food, exotic fruits, pastries with edible gold leaf, towering cakes that looked like works of art. By 2 o'clock, the first luxury cars began to arrive. Guests in silk gowns and tailored suits stepped out, their shoes never touching the gravel thanks to a red carpet rolled all the way from the driveway to the party lawn. Polite air kisses, murmurs of "darling, you look divine," and bursts of shallow laughter filled the warm air. Among the sea of glitter, a modest car pulled up. It was not old, but it had seen better days. The paint was dull in places, and the hum of the engine was a little uneven. Out stepped Margaret Lawson, a distant cousin on Catherine's late mother's side. She was dressed in her best, a simple navy blue dress, ironed with care, a pair of plain pearl earrings, and black flats that had been polished until they shone. With her were her 2 children, Lily, aged 10, wearing a hand-sewn dress Margaret had made herself, and Noah, 8, whose hair had been combed neatly though one stubborn strand refused to lie flat. Margaret had been hesitant to accept the invitation when it arrived. She had not seen Catherine in years, and their lives had taken very different paths. But Lily had pleaded, "Please, Mama, I want to see how rich people celebrate birthdays," and so here they were. When Catherine saw her walking up the carpet, she smiled, though it was the kind of smile that came from manners, not warmth. "Margaret," she said, air-kissing her cheek. "How lovely. You made it." "Thank you for inviting us, Catherine," Margaret replied with genuine warmth. "It's beautiful here." The afternoon rolled on with music, games, and chatter. The children played by the fountain, chasing soap bubbles that floated like little rainbows in the sun. The adults gathered in clusters, discussing art auctions, travel plans, and stock markets. Margaret, unused to these circles, stayed mostly on the edge, watching her children laugh. She was content, until everything changed. It happened an hour before sunset. Catherine had gone upstairs to her bedroom to change her earrings before the cake cutting. On her vanity sat a velvet box, inside, a gold bracelet studded with small diamonds. It wasn't just expensive, it was a Beaumont heirloom, passed down through generations of women in the family. But now, it was gone. Her hands trembled as she searched the vanity, the floor, even under the dresser. Nothing. Her heart pounded. The thought of losing it, the shame, the scandal, made her dizzy. She called her sister, Vivian, into the room. "It's missing," she whispered, her voice tight. "What do you mean missing?" Vivian asked, her eyes widening. "The bracelet. It's not here." Word spread faster than wildfire. The whispers began almost instantly, like a current running through the crowd. "Who could have taken it? Do you think, one of the staff?" "No, they've worked here for years." A pause. A glance. "What about that cousin? The one who doesn't usually come to events like this?" The shift in the air was subtle at first, just a few eyes turning toward Margaret, who was at the dessert table helping Lily choose a pastry. But soon it was impossible to miss. People stared openly now, their polite smiles gone, replaced by something colder. Catherine came down, her face pale but composed. She walked straight to Margaret. "Margaret. I'm so sorry to ask, but, you didn't happen to see a bracelet upstairs, did you?" Margaret blinked, startled. "No, of course not. I haven't even been upstairs." But the glances between guests grew sharper, like silent accusations. Someone murmured, "It's always the ones you least expect." The decision came quickly, too quickly. Catherine's brother-in-law was already on the phone. 10 minutes later, 2 police officers walked up the red carpet and into the party. The music stopped. Conversations died mid-sentence. "We've been informed about a missing item," one officer said. "We'll need to conduct a search." No one else was searched. They went straight to Margaret. "Ma'am, we'll need to check your bag," the officer said, his voice flat. Margaret's cheeks burned as she handed it over. Inside were only a few personal items, a wallet, a handkerchief, and 2 neatly wrapped gifts from her children to Amelia. "Nothing here," the officer said. But the whispers didn't stop. "We should still check her," someone suggested. Margaret froze. They meant to search her in front of everyone. She could feel her children's small hands gripping hers tightly. Lily's voice trembled. "Mama, do you have to?" Margaret bent down and kissed her forehead. "It's all right, love." They patted her down, their gloved hands impersonal and cold. The guests watched, some with curiosity, others with judgment, and a few with quiet pity. "Nothing." Just as the officers were about to leave, Richard Beaumont walked into the garden, holding something up in his hand. It was the bracelet. "I found it," he said, his voice heavy. "It had rolled under our bed." The silence that followed was thick and uncomfortable. No one looked at Margaret. Some cleared their throats, others busied themselves with their drinks. Catherine's face flushed crimson, but she said nothing. Margaret straightened her shoulders. Her voice was calm, but each word carried the weight of the afternoon. "I understand," she began, "that my dress isn't as fine as yours, that my shoes aren't Italian leather, and that my children's gifts don't come from luxury boutiques. But what I will never understand is why you all believed that made me capable of theft." She looked at Catherine, her eyes glistening, not with tears, but with pride. "You searched me in front of my children. You let them see their mother treated like a criminal. Do you know what that does to a child? To see the person they trust most in this world stripped of dignity in front of strangers?" No one spoke. "My worth," Margaret continued, "is not measured by gold or diamonds. It is measured by the truth I carry in my heart, and today, not one of you saw it. My God gave me honor, and it doesn't tarnish because my bank account is small. You've taken nothing from me, except the last bit of respect I might have had for this family." She took Lily and Noah's hands. "Come, children. Let's go home. We belong somewhere dignity is not for sale." The red carpet, so grand when they arrived, now felt like a path away from poison. That night, long after the guests had left and the lights had gone out, Catherine sat on her bed with the bracelet in her hand. It felt heavier than gold should feel. And for the first time in years, she wondered if all her wealth had made her blind to what truly mattered. Somewhere across the city, in a small, humble apartment, Margaret tucked her children into bed. She kissed them goodnight and whispered, "Never let anyone tell you your worth, my loves. That's between you and God." And though the day had been cruel, she knew, in the only way that mattered, she had walked away unbroken.